I'm frustrated, and I'm going to tell you why I'm frustrated. For the second time this week, and it's only Tuesday, I've just completed a conversation with a well-qualified borrower who is talking in vague and general terms about waiting to make a decision about a purchase. And so I run into this all the time, and it's usually cloaked in some kind of vague reference to the market or inventory or save some more money. There's kind of this general excuse making that goes on with this. And I don't really think, in fact, it's my experience, I'm pretty convinced of it, that people really know what they're talking about when they're doing this. I think it's probably more a fear of making the decision or a reluctance or a procrastination about all the work involved in purchasing a house and making a move. And I'm going to tell you why. So for the last probably 5 years in the Middle Tennessee market, maybe 7, maybe as long as 7, back to 2012, 2013, I have been saying to people that if you are looking or planning or thinking about making a move up in the real estate market in Middle Tennessee in the next 5 years, then you really should be thinking about doing that in the next 5 weeks. Now that's a kind of a bold statement, and it's something that sets people spinning a little bit, but I believe it's true. And in fact, I personally made a purchase decision about 3 years ago based exactly on that advice, because I felt like we were probably as a family looking to make a move, and I didn't want to do it, and I was too busy, and I had too much on my mind, and I really didn't want to go through all that. And ultimately we wound up making a move in an effort to follow my own advice, which I think is very sound. So this idea excludes people who are not qualified, who are waiting on a seasoning of a derogatory credit event, who need to do some credit repair, or who are somehow otherwise not qualified. But I'm going to take you to a calculator here, and we're going to do some math, and we're going to take a good deep dive into the primary reason behind this mantra that I have been barking at people for the last half a decade. And it's based on the fact that this market is moving so quickly that most people cannot keep up with the price increases that we're experiencing in Middle Tennessee. So let's spend a few minutes doing the math and get some solid numbers behind this philosophy of mine, and we'll see how we come out. Okay, so let's get to the math. Making some assumptions here. The defaults that I put into this calculator are basically a median house price in Davidson County. I think that the prices are actually a little bit north of this right now, but we're assuming a $350,000 home purchase with a 20% down payment. So adjust any personal numbers accordingly. But this is a great place to start because it's kind of an average transaction, at least in Davidson County. So I'm going to skip this table because I like bar graphs a lot better than tables, but I do want to complete my assumptions here. We're doing a 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage with 20% down payment at 3% as a starting rate. So we're using that for an example. Going to jump down here and take a look basically at the cost of waiting analysis right here. This calculator calculates the cost of waiting 6 months, a year, 2 years, and 3 years. And so most people are pretty easy to convince that home prices are going up, and that there's some assumptions that we make about the percentage that home prices appreciate in the course of a year, and that if you're looking at $350,000 houses this year, then next year that same house might be $365,000. So what we're doing here, this calculator defaults certain appreciation values. I believe that they're probably a little conservative for Middle Tennessee, but you're looking at 4.14% over 1 year, 8% over 3 years, and 8% over 2 years, and 12% over 3 years. So I believe that most of us would agree that in the right areas of town, those are very conservative figures. And other parts of town and maybe in the outlying areas, those are fair assumptions. But keep in mind, I believe these numbers to be conservative. So, in essence, we've got two different kinds of losses in the high price of waiting to buy a house. The first is that home value. So, in this example, we're kind of assuming that if you wait a year, your $350,000 house is going to be worth $365,000. So you're going to have to come up with $15,000 extra dollars to buy the same house a year from now. That's pretty painful, but it doesn't tell the whole story because there's also a compounding amortization cost to this. And what I mean by that is that if you are currently not making a mortgage payment and you're thinking about waiting a couple of years and assessing the price of or the cost of the home appreciation, then you also have to take into account that if you bought today, you would be deep into an amortization schedule and you would be paying down principal on that loan. So there's this hidden amortization cost that most people don't really ever consider when they're thinking about the delaying of buying a house. So we're going to dig into that, and I'm going to go to some bar graphs here at the bottom that illustrate the numbers a little bit better than the tables do. So this is your 6-month waiting period. You've got an appreciation loss of $7,576 because the property appreciated over a 6-month period of time by 2% and some change. The amortization loss, however, is another $2,900. So just a 6-month wait from April to October of the same year could mean that you lost a total of $10,500 in a $350,000 purchase consideration. So some people are going to take that much time to make a decision about buying a house because of the inventory problems that we have. But that's not laying around and making excuses about not wanting to make a major decision. And I think that a lot of this is founded in procrastination and just kind of not wanting to deal with it, especially with the compounding effects of not wanting to deal with 2020 in general. So going to the 1-year example here, total cost $20,000 and some change to put off a purchase decision for a year. So this is your buyer that says, oh, maybe not this year, but next year will be different. We'll save a little bit more money. Well, they might have $5,000 more in the house fund, but in the meantime, they've lost $5,800 in the amortization cost and $14,500 in the price of the home. They've lost that much buying power in a 12-month period of time. So the total loss would be $20,330. My frustration comes in this question to that borrower: what in the world are you thinking that you're gonna save an extra $5,000 or $6,000 to put on your down payment? You're going to lose $14,000 in buying power over that same period of time. So that's where my sense of urgency comes in with this admonition that if you're going to do anything in real estate as far as moving up is concerned in the next 5 years, do it in the next 5 weeks, because the clock is ticking, and every second that ticks off of that clock literally has dollar figures attached to it. So the cost over 2 years in this same $350,000 house, $39,971. So it's $40,000, over 10% loss in 2 years related to amortization and to appreciation. Now, if during those 2 years we also had an 8% appreciation year and a 7% appreciation year, then your losses over that 2-year period are compounded times 2, because we're assuming just an 8% loss of amortization, or I'm sorry, increase in the value of the home, the appreciation loss of just 8% over the 2 years. So for a 4% per year average. And then 3 years, I mean, you're just getting into ridiculous loss of money and time into an amortization. Amortization is going to cost you $18,000 and then $40,000. And again, this is based on an 11% or 12% appreciation. So I hope that this little visit with the calculator serves to illustrate the power of these numbers over time. It takes a little bit of time to do those calculations, but if you're thinking about this, if there's anything that I can provide to help, I want you to share this with your friends, with your family, with your clients, and maybe even give it a consideration yourself. Just one note, the numbers don't work exactly the same way if you're thinking about downsizing, because you're appreciating in a higher value house, and the lower value house that you may be considering downsizing to is appreciating at possibly the same rate or approximately the same rate. So you're not losing anything as far as the appreciation is concerned. You may be falling behind a little bit in the amortization, but I think that that's a kind of a special situation where it doesn't hurt as much to wait. But if you're renting, you got a first-time home buyer who is looking to buy a house, or if you're thinking about moving up, it is a massive loss of capital and buying power over a very short period of time. So hope this is helpful. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me today. If there's anything that I can do to help and maybe assist you in a personal situation, I'd be happy to do that. So reach out to me. Thanks.